be the first in a series of videos I'm going to be doing about the Traxxas Raptor RC pickup that I just purchased today. The Raptor, if you don't know, is basically the Traxxas Slash with a licensed Ford Raptor body added on. As it's my understanding, this is in every way identical to the two-wheel drive Traxxas Slash, with the exception of course, the Raptor body, and then the front bumper they've got on here is actually unique to the Raptor model. So I myself am a huge Ford fan. I've got a late model Mustang GT in the garage. I got a 91 Bronco, and also have a 70 F100 that's my project truck. Nice chop top, it's a lot of fun. I'm a big Ford guy, so when I walked into the hobby store today to purchase what was going to be, or what is, my first hobby grade RC product, I had my eye on the Slash as a very strong option, and when I saw they had the Raptor version of it, that pretty much sealed the deal for me, being a huge Ford nut. So one thing I will tell you that's going to differentiate this video from some of the ones that you've probably seen before, I'm going to approach this from the perspective that I have, which is a first-time brand new RC buyer. There are a bunch of professional RC buyers out there who will tell you, or make recommendations on how to get started, or where you should start. And obviously the Slash is a very common recommendation for those folks. So, the thing is, some of those guys have been in the hobby, and gals have been in the hobby for years and years and years and years and years, and they might have forgot, what it was, or one or two things that they thought were really good or really unfortunate about stepping into the hobby. So, I'm going to make this video from the perspective of a first-time buyer, brand new novice driver, and hopefully we'll get a pretty good series of videos here going, so other folks like me who are considering this and have watched the videos and decided the Slash is what they want, actually have some feel or some understanding of what to expect as a brand new owner with their ownership experience and all those kinds of things. So hopefully you all stay tuned. We'll get some more videos coming out. Stand by for just 1 minute and we'll start doing some unboxing. Alright, let's get her unboxed. If you're wondering why the change of pace from firearms related gear and airsoft type stuff, I actually have ruptured my Achilles tendon over the summer, and I'm in the process of recovery from that. So active things like running around playing airsoft and that kind of stuff is just not an option for me. So decided we'll change it up a little bit and go with some RC, something I can do without having to run around. So first thing I will tell you, when I walked in the store, I was really amazed, and this may have been a thing for a long time, I don't know, but when I started looking at hobby RC stuff a long time ago, what happened, or what I remember, was the packaging was black and white. It wasn't nearly as pretty or as nice or as well done as this stuff is. So first thing I will tell you is the packaging on this is very, very well done. I'm not going to sit here. I think people have probably seen the box over and over. If you want to see a couple different angles of what the box looks like, I can show you what all is included in the box here, or what all is included on the outside of the box, printed on it, I should say. But let's go ahead and get her opened up and see what's inside here. This is not going to be a super detailed look at every little thing unboxing, because the reality is a lot of this stuff I don't even know what I'm looking at. So I'm just going to get it out and do some first impressions and then move on. There's a bunch of unboxing for the Traxxas Slash, and there's plenty out there. The Raptor's been around long enough now, from what I've read, there's plenty out there unboxing for it too. So if you're looking for some detail and a lot of time to be spent on the minutia of that, there's probably a bunch of videos out there for you to find. All right. So first things first, we'll get the truck on out. Get her sitting up here. We got looks like a bag of some miscellaneous parts. Looks like our battery charger and everything's in there. We'll sit that down here. And then the last piece on the end here is another piece of styrofoam. Where the remote lives. And there she is. This, by all reckoning and all rights, is the standard Traxxas remote. Good enough for beginners from what I read. You know, once you get into it for a significant period of time, probably would want to be upgrading that particular piece. But for now, I'm a beginner. It's a beginner remote. Sounds like a match made in heaven to me. So, let's look at the small stuff first because we want to save the best for last. The remote is super lightweight. This thing weighs next to nothing. Good, nice tight spring on the wheel. There's very little turn here. I don't know if that's normal for these types of RC stuff. Again, I'm new. I don't know. But I will tell you, it's very little travel left to right. So I imagine that being a very sensitive system. We'll see once we start driving it. The remote honestly feels pretty cheap. Hollow plastic weighs way less than what I would think a remote for something like this would. Of course, when you put the batteries in there, it's going to weigh a little bit more, but this weighs probably less than some of the Tamiya stuff you get at Walmart. It feels like it just weighs a little bit less. In reality, it probably has a stronger radio transmitter than that stuff does because it's a much more powerful vehicle. But it's got a little LED here. I don't know what the red button here does. We'll read the manual and find that out. I know this is the steering trim. So if you're curving a little bit to the left naturally or right, you can adjust this dial to kind of fix that. And obviously your throttle's down here on the trigger. So not much more to say about that. We'll set it over there. Inside my spare parts bag, I have a looks like a manual. Some extra parts, obviously. A charger. I don't know what this is. Little foam block. We'll have to read and see what that does. I have no idea what that does. Charger. Interestingly enough, this plugs into a 12 volt on a car. They didn't tell me that at the RC shop. So I'm not sure how I'm going to charge this battery without just going out and plugging it into a car. And that doesn't seem like something I really care to do. So that's going to be interesting. That's a little bit frustrating unless there's an adapter in here that I don't see somewhere. Maybe the battery. No, the battery's not going to have an adapter on it for that. That's frustrating. Wish I'd have known that when I bought it. I would have bought the tools to be able to charge it. A couple miscellaneous tools in here. I'm sure this stuff is set to the right sizes. My free time, I like to build real cars. Long story short, my wife doesn't have the tolerance for me building a drag car anymore, so that's kind of what pushed me into the circumstances of being able to purchase this truck. So sad and happy day. I have to, at least for the time being, give up on my real drag racing car hobby, but in exchange I get to actually try out my RC hobby, which I've been looking forward to. So bittersweet. We have some plastic parts here. I believe these are suspension pieces to go ahead and preload the springs so I can set the suspension. A lot of this stuff looks like some plastic shims for something, another little foam block. Again, I don't know what those pieces do, but once I read the manual I will. More spare parts over here. Apologize for my voice, guys. I've had some kind of respiratory funk for a few days, and getting out here in the cold weather is not doing me a whole lot of favors on this video. Also, I'll say this much: if the lighting is poor, apologize for that as well. I'm out in my shop where my wife's busy in the house and didn't have the space to set anything up and do the proper lighting or any of that stuff. So sorry if the lighting's not good, sorry if the sound is not great. It's not the ideal circumstances, but it's the real world and we're living in it, so we'll get what we get. Manual, stickers. Of course, I'll be taking that in and reading it here shortly. I was actually going to start the battery charging while I read the manual, and now I'm trying to figure out how the hell I'm going to charge that damn thing. That's a little disappointing. So first things first, if you buy this truck and it's they're ready to run. You have the charger and everything you need to plug it in and make it work. If you don't have an adapter that'll go with your little 12 volt deal here to plug into the wall, you're not going to be able to run this thing unless you just go sit it out in your car for quite a while, which I guess is what I'll end up doing. But certainly that's not ideal. It's a little disappointing that I wasn't told that at the store. But anyway, so there's your first heads up. That's disappointing, and you need to know. You're gonna have to. I'm sure that I guarantee you Traxxas sells an adapter for that, but you're gonna have to come up with something to plug it into the wall to do some charging. All right, let's get on to the serious stuff here. The real hardware. Boy, I love the way the suspension sits on that thing. When you just sit it down, it just settles right on in there. So the body pins are actually already in here, pinned through the plastic. So we'll pull those out. It's regular little cotter pins. Look like we had some extras of those in the spare parts. I imagine those pop off of there from time to time or break with use. So we'll pop that on off of there. Raptor is one of the few Fords I've never actually owned myself. I've looked at them. I'm generally more of a drag guy than an off-road guy in the real world. So I do have my Bronco for off-roading, but not really a ton of places around where I live to go out and do some kind of high-speed off-roading, just more crawling, that kind of stuff. So a Bronco satisfies that need for me, but Raptor's always been a vehicle I've been a huge fan of, and something I've always liked. I've had several friends and co-workers that have owned them. I've had the privilege of driving several of them. Really enjoyed it. Again, when I saw the Raptor, it was just on a truck that I was already strongly considering buying. It was a no-brainer for me. Sits on there. We're not going to pin the body back on because I'm going to pull it right back off, but doggone, man, that thing looks pretty sweet. The paint's actually black metallic. I don't know if it'll come out in the camera or not, but the paint job on that thing is absolutely a metallic paint job. Super, super nice looking. Interesting, the body's pinned on here, and it's actually touching this rear tire here. I don't know if you guys can see that in the video. Try to turn it up so you can. Of course, when I lift it, it's going to change the suspension. But just look back here at the rear tire. I'm not sure if that's something that you raise up or how you fix that, other than to say that that body is definitely sitting on the tire right there. I mean, it is making contact, and that's pinned in the right place. That's really interesting. I'm not sure what the story is with that, but since it looks like I'll be back at the store tomorrow to buy a doggone charger, maybe I'll ask them about the body running into the tire there, or maybe the manual will tell me something about adjustments I need to make or something. We'll see. But I did see that. Other than that, this thing looks absolutely sick. Love to give you a full 360 view of it. Don't know that I have a great way of doing that, other than just sitting it right there and letting you take a look. The truck is absolutely sick looking. Really, actually, I like the tires. I like the wheels. I like what I assume are faux bead locks on the tires. I like that a lot. It's a good look. Already been thinking about ways to mount a GoPro to this thing for some first-person video. Since the windshield is not clear, I was thinking about mounting a GoPro in there so you could actually get like a driver's perspective as I drove it around. I thought that'd be pretty neat. I may find another body somewhere that I can actually either cut a circle out of that if it's not clear, if it's got a clear windshield, mount it somehow on the inside where the camera's pointing straight out of there so you get a driver's perspective. Otherwise, I'd end up mounting it. Maybe find some way to brace it off of these mounts so I don't have to stick anything to this nice pretty body, but mount it up here. It's too flexible up here, I think. It's going to vibrate a lot, but anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Right now, we got to figure out how the heck we're going to charge a battery. So pulling the gorgeous Raptor body off. It's actually, I'll point this out, the body's all Lexan, but this grill right here, I don't know if you can tell on camera, this is actually a plastic insert inside the Lexan body. Insert. These are plastic inserts. So I think that's really neat. It makes it look good. It adds some really sharp Sharp looking stuff to the body. I wonder how durable that is if you start rolling it over, if you're going to pop those mirrors off. They're screwed in. Looks like they've got some rubber shims and they've got some little Allen head screws locking them in there. So it looks like they can be removed. So maybe if you're going to do some hard, what they call bashing, I think, some hard driving, you might pull those out so they don't break off and get lost somewhere at your local park or whatever. These things are cool. Suspension on this thing is just really cool to feel. There's a lot of just nice and shiny and new and pretty. The battery's right here that it comes with, so it does come with a battery. It looks like there's a cotter pin that holds the battery in. Pull that up. Looks like that. I think they call that a wishbone from what I read. And then the battery's right here with some information on it. Certainly some warning information or something. It's a 3000 milliamp nickel metal hydride battery, 8.4 volts. One of the first upgrades I'm planning to do is probably switch it to a 2-cell lithium ion. I don't know. I do plan to go back to the hobby shop where I purchased this and do some racing. And you know, one of the classes that, of course, the one I would start in because I'm brand new and probably can't drive it for crap, be the beginner class for the stock stuff. And they actually have a Traxxas Slash class, the 2-wheel drive, which this is, would of course work in that class. So I don't know if the lithium is permitted in that class or not. I'll have to do some questioning. If not, then of course I'll definitely run this for racing, but I am going to buy a lithium to tool around here at the house. Reality is, guys, I'm a brand new RC guy. I don't really know what I'm looking at other than I've got my antenna right here. I believe this is the speed controller for the motor. Looks like my steering box is underneath here. And it's just a cool looking truck. The suspension feels really good. There's a lot of plastic pieces on this. I've seen guys take them out and jump them and do all kinds of crazy stuff. Now I will tell you this, I don't know if this is on every Slash or not. I know the bumper's not. But the it feels like aluminum. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just cold out here. I guess it's just plastic. But this bumper is the unique piece for the Raptor. So this is the part that is unique to the Traxxas Slash Raptor, and I think it's really cool. Of course, I love the Raptor, so I'm definitely a big fan of how that looks. The chassis is black. I guess that's also a little bit different. The other I think it's the same exact chassis, it's just, you know, black instead of gray or whatever color the Slashes normally are. So don't know what else to tell you on here other than it looks really cool. I can't wait to get it fired up and running. I'm really annoyed that I'm not going to be able to charge the battery outside of going and sticking it in a car to run. So we'll have to talk to them about that a little bit. I'll probably end up buying a better charger anyway. My understanding is the charger that it comes with, and again, I don't know, I'm brand new, but the charger it comes with takes quite a while to actually do any charging, to be expected with something they throw in for free. So an upgraded charger was on the plan anyway, so that's probably something I'll look at picking up maybe tomorrow when I go back to the shop to talk to them. Last thing I'll tell you guys, and we'll talk more about this after I get a chance to drive it. I was going into the shop to really look at two trucks. The Raptor, excuse me, not the Raptor, the Slash. Didn't know there was a Raptor at the time. And then the TRX-4. I saw some videos on the TRX-4, the Land Rover Discovery truck. I am not a Land Rover guy. I think they're, you know, for people want to spend that kind of money on something cool. It's not my cup of tea, but I did see that next year they're coming out with a Bronco body, and the 79 body, I think is what they're coming out with, is very similar to the 91 model Bronco that I actually own. So I was really thinking about picking one of those up in anticipation of grabbing a body and making it into a Bronco. After talking to the sales folks, and I believe the young man I talked to actually was the owner's son, and after talking to him, you know, he basically explained the TRX4 is really more of a trail truck. It's really more of a rock crawler type of application, so it's not meant to be kind of blasted around and raced and all those things. Certainly you can upgrade the motor, you can do a lot of upgrades to it and make it fast, but that's not really what it's meant for. And that combined with the fact that it's roughly $200 more than what I paid for this, tells me that you know, maybe that's not the best fit for me. Maybe that might be a good second vehicle. But you know, for me, just driving around the backyard and going up and doing some racing on occasion, some class racing, or I think spec racing is what they might call it, on occasion, this was a much better fit for my use case. I live out in a little bit of rural Oklahoma. I have several acres out here for me to go tool around on and play on, and that's where I'm going to spend probably 99% of my RC driving time. I'd like to say I could spend maybe 1% to 5% at the track actually doing some racing with other people. You know, I'm a married man, grown adult, who knows how much time I'll actually have to do that. But based on talking to him, I don't have a rock crawling course out here, don't plan to build one. And while I think that could be very entertaining down the road, it's not something I wanted to get started with. I want to get started with something I could jump around the backyard and just have a good time with. And the Slash definitely won out there. Now, the two-wheel drive was an interesting choice because I was planning to buy the four-wheel drive Slash. The reason being, I live out here again on some acreage. I don't mow all of my acreage. I probably would stick to driving on areas that I mow, but even where I mow, I don't bag, so I have a lot of thatch, and it gets pretty thick and deep. And I was a little concerned with how the two-wheel drive is going to handle that particular type of terrain. And you know, the guy at the store, the young man, seemed to believe that it would handle it just fine. That, you know, certainly four-wheel drive would be probably a little bit better, but that you know, two-wheel drive is going to handle it just fine. And at the end of the day, they don't make the four-wheel drive in the Raptor, and the shop here, we're in December, by the way, of 2017, and the shop was sold out of four-wheel drive Slashes. They'd had a whole bunch of people come in the last week or so and buy up the four-wheel drives, and they only had, I think, one Raptor left, which was this one, which is fortunately black, the color I wanted anyway, and like two other Slashes, two-wheel drive Slashes. So they'd had a good month. They were selling a lot, which is good. We want those hobby shops selling. And so for me, it came down to, I love the Raptor, and although I kind of wanted a four-wheel drive, the fact that they didn't have it and I really had the bug, and I happen to have permission, which could, of course, those of you that are married understand that permission can be rescinded at any point in time. So while I had permission, and the fact that they had a Raptor, I pretty went ahead and pulled the trigger and got the two-wheel drive. I am told that the class racing they do up there, there's a special class for the two-wheel drive, and it's the novice class. So, excuse me. Goodness, I'm sorry. As far as spec racing is concerned, and racing in class and kind of getting familiar with it, the two-wheel drive is actually a great place to start, because it should put me in with the other novice racers up there. And you know, that's really about what I have to say. I will tell you guys, I do know that you can buy, there's a lot of those big online hobby shops that you can buy from and save yourself a little bit of money. If you're out in the boonies and you're never going to go to a hobby shop for service, for repair, or to ask questions, or to go race, save yourself some money. Buy it out there. But if you're going to go to the local hobby shop, you're going to take advantage of their facilities to drive your car. You're going to take advantage of some of their expertise, whether it's to help you learn to drive, or to help you with repairs, or to help you suggest or help you fit modifications to the vehicle. Man, buy it at the hobby shop. Spend a couple extra bucks and buy it at the hobby shop.